We often see food as just nourishment to the body, but what if I told you that everything that goes into our system, body, mind, and soul, is actually food? And what if we are constantly feeding our system with unwanted information, with unwanted frequency? Because food is more than just things we put in there. It's not just nourishment, it's not just fuel, it is frequency. And we all want to raise our frequency because a higher frequency seems to be better. At least that's what everybody constantly tells us. And from a spiritual point of view, that's what they always try to make us believe. So if we want that, then we're gonna have to be more aware of the kind of frequency that we put into our body. So we often use a lot of frequencies that we don't want. We actually have the things that we do unconsciously consume and don't want. We have things that we unconsciously consume but still want. And then we have the things that we consciously consume yet we don't want it. And at the same time we have the things that we consciously consume and we want them. And there's a lot in between, of course, but I think we're very often not aware of what certain things do to us. We think too much, oh, I just went to McDonald's, but it's not that bad. Oh, I've been listening to a bad song, but it's not that bad. Or I've been watching the news, but it's not that bad. But all these little things, they leave an imprint into our system. We have been feeding it with bad food. And whether this food was a purely energetic thing, whether this was just visuals that we got in, sounds, or it was truly food as we mostly consider food to be, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make a difference here, since we need to be aware of everything that we consume. And consumption is frequency, like I already said, and frequency always influences another frequency. Of course, the stronger the frequency is, the higher the influence will be. But even if it's a very weak frequency, then it will still have an influence on our system. It's a continuous thing. Of course, the strongest frequency will influence a weaker frequency more, but the weaker frequency will still have an influence on the stronger one. That being said, like I already pointed out earlier, we need to be more aware of the frequencies like we consume. And whether this is on pure food, we need to make sure that our food is clean, is of a good source, that the drinks that we drink, everything that goes into our body should be of a high frequency and healthy. And the same goes for the information we put in there. And there is a lot of information we are being fed, or there is a lot of food, if you want to call it like that in this case, that we are being fed, whether we want it or not. We have to go through a life, and therefore we will always be influenced with things that we do or do not like. But we should be aware up to the level where we can, and we should try to influence everything up to the level where we can. Because if you are going to take in too much of a low frequency, then it will just be harder to raise that frequency again. And it doesn't mean that you can't counteract a bit of negative or lower vibrational energy. The thing here is that the more of this lower vibrational energy you put into your system, the more energy it will cost to raise it back again up to the level where it was. So if you truly want to raise yourself in frequency, then you need to be very aware of what you put in there, and you need to be careful with this thing. So don't put in there what you don't want to have in there, even if it was tasty, if it was good, if it was interesting. That's what I said, like, we need to be aware and we need to be careful. Again, otherwise it will just take you too much energy to clean it up again.